Hey everyone, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Staceyann Doria, founder and CEO of The Event Narrative, a strategic event agency that helps companies create experiences that drive real business results. With over 20 years of expertise in tech, pharma, and finance, Staceyann ensures that every event is aligned with company goals and delivers measurable ROI. How are you doing today, Stacey Ann?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, we're
Good.
we're, we're in the warmer part of the year now. Been able to get out and do some walking in the
Soaking it
morning.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's been a good way to start the day as opposed to just my commutes to the office, right? And it's in the
Mhm.
same building, so
Yeah.
it's
Right.
not so far. It's about 12 steps, so need to get more in.
You're
So, but no, I was excited to have you on. I really enjoyed our conversation that we had. You're doing awesome things, and there's people out there that need to get to know you. So I was excited to have you here. But starting off, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah. I'm in Reno, Nevada. I know people are like, who is in Reno? I am in Reno. I am from the Bronx. I always say that I'm from the Bronx, but I reside in Reno. So that's where I am.
Yeah, no, people think Reno, like I visited, I never stayed. But how long have you
hmm
been there? Are you newer to the area? Or have you been there for a while?
In my head, I'm still new to the area, but I've been here for almost 9 years now. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Okay, so you have your haunts. If you have some friends coming into town to visit, where are you going? What are you doing? And what's for dinner?
Especially if I have East Coasters, I'm taking them to Tahoe because Tahoe looks like a postcard. Like it's not real. It's absolutely amazing. And it's only a 45 minute drive away from me. So kind of showing them outside of Reno quite a bit because I mean that's what really is the draw to Reno is that. In terms of where I'm what are we eating? I love to cook. So more than likely you're going to be here. I have a Blackstone, I have a wood burning pizza oven. More than likely I'm going to be making a special menu. If I'm taking you out somewhere, I'm probably going to take you somewhere like Lounge, which is a local wine bar here behind me. I'm a certified, or I'm a level one uh, with CMS, which is a Court of Masters of Sommeliers, and so I'm probably taking you somewhere there. We'll probably get some pho, but keeping it really light because more than likely we're going to do something at home.
Well, that's awesome. So home cook, you have people come in. What's your kind of go to? What do you like to cook? You said Blackstone pizza oven, but what's your kind of your wheelhouse?
Yeah, so I'm Jamaican, so I'm probably going to make something Jamaican for you just to kind of open you up if you're used to like the usual American or Italian or that kind of cuisine. I'm really good at Asian cooking as well, especially on the Blackstone. It's just tons of fun to do that. And I do make my own pizza dough. I'm a sourdough person too, so like I'm probably gonna throw some pizza and wings. I'm known for my wings in the pizza oven, and we're just gonna have fun and sit outside and have a couple drinks and have good times.
Man, I love cooking on a Blackstone. I need to break it out this year already. I think we're doing to do smash burgers sometime, maybe end of
Oh
the
my
week.
gosh.
They're
Do
awesome.
it.
But
It's so much fun, especially the fact that you can cook and clean up within like 30 minutes. It's the best part of it for me.
my and we'll get back to it. But my favorite story with the Blackstone is when I first got it. My girlfriend came down and we were going to cook smash burgers, and she brought like a little cooler with her drinks in. It's like I'm going to sit out and we were done in 5 minutes. It was
That's
cooked,
it.
cleaned, back upstairs. She's like, I don't even know why I brought this stuff. I'm like, you were thinking grill and smoker, and you were wrong.
Yeah,
It's in and
exactly.
out, and you're onto
Exactly
it.
that.
So awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you're doing?
Yeah, so I am a strategic event planner. So I think one thing that people don't understand is the fields of events is so vast, right? And we all specialize in very different things. So for me, I specialize in corporate events, corporate of any type, finance, tech, pharma, medical, you name it, as long as it's corporate, that's where I am. And what that means is it's very strategy focused, right? These companies are paying hundreds of thousands into millions of dollars for events, and so they expect to see a ROI on their money that they're spending. So it's very strategy driven events that show ROI. That's where I focus, which makes me different than an entertainment planner, a wedding planner, because the ROI is very different there than it is in corporate.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, How did you get started doing this? No, I've never heard anybody in high school say, I want to be a strategic event agency or a
Oh my
planner. How
gosh.
does that happen?
So it's funny because my very first job was doing events with 4-H. So I was working with 4-H, and I remember I did the entertainment tent with 4-H, and they said, "Okay, Stacey, we need you to judge the cows." And I thought that meant burgers and ribs, and I was going to get a plate in front of me. And instead, I walked in, and there was an actual cow in front of me, and I'm like, "Excuse me, I'm from the Bronx. How did I end up here? I don't know what a cow is supposed to look like." But that's where I started. So I started off with events as my first job, went to college. I studied public relations for undergrad, and knew that I wanted to do events. And I actually went to George Washington University and got my master's in event meeting and sports management. I've only ever been doing events, and started off on the agency side, moved over to nonprofit, moved over to medical tech, and now here I am with my own business.
Awesome. What is it that you love most about what you're doing now?
I think it's a bit of the problem solving that comes with events, right? We event planners like a little bit of chaos, right? The fire in the kitchen doesn't scare us. So just being able to know that there's a solve for that. And I think really it's about the emotion and the joy that you see from the attendees. And you'll be shocked, even with what you might perceive as the most boring financial event ever. Like, who wants to talk X and Y axis and numbers all day, and then somebody leaves and they're like, "That's such a great agenda," and "Oh my god, I had so much fun." That's like, just so much joy of events comes from experiencing the joy in other people, and I really do love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I bet. When you're looking at like your average client, the avatar of your client, what are the pain points that they're dealing with? That if they're going through X, Y, Z, you're the
Yeah.
best one to help them.
The first pain point is there's no ROI, right? And I say that so much, and especially in today's environment, there's so many layoffs, right? And what happens is the layoff starts with marketing, and then they look at that, and it starts with events, because guess what? We're looked at as spending money, not making money, right? So the first pain point is I spent $1 million on chicken and chairs. I gave them something to eat and something to sit on, but I made no money after that. What am I doing there? The second pain point is they don't know who they're planning for, right? They haven't done the strategic alignment to see who's sitting in the room. I always start off with who's sitting here and how much money is in the room. And once you understand that, you can plan a better event. And then third is like, I just don't know how to. I don't know how to plan events, and I don't want to deal with that stress. Well, guess what? I don't want to deal with your stress. That's why you called me in here. So that's really what I deal with the most.
Okay. What about power partners? Who do you synergize well with? Any other professionals or industries out there that you find a lot of ability to collaborate with or refer back and forth with?
Yeah, I mean, other event planners, I think something with entrepreneurs is you look at everybody as competition, and no, those are your best strategic partners right there, right? Because like I said, we're so vast. There might be a planner that only focuses on event data, right? And they really focus on reading the numbers and understanding where the ROI is. AV companies are a big partner for me, because you need AV, and you need lighting, you need the projector, you need the screen, graphics, you need all that. Those are huge partners, and of course the hotels and the venues. But I think I very much so lean on my event community and the planners within, as my biggest partners, because somebody might focus only on medical event and Sunshine Act, and they might know how to work, the $20 a day that you're given to feed everyone in a hotel differently than somebody that's like, "Oh no, I work with caviar. Like, I don't know how to do that." So I really do lean on my industry and my fellow planners a lot.
Awesome. You kind of touched on this before, but there's all sorts of advice that you can give. But what advice would you give to a new or aspiring entrepreneur?
Understand your lane, right? Understand if you are focused on corporate, focused on wedding, focused on entertainment, focused on data. Understand where your niche is before entering it. Don't say, "Oh, I do events," and think that you're going to be able to do every type of event. I shan't ever plan a wedding. That is not me. I didn't plan my wedding. I'm not planning your wedding. I always say that over and over again. I don't care if you're my cousin or my sister, I'm not doing it, right? So understand your niche of events to say, oh, I actually really enjoy the decor part of corporate events, or I really enjoy the AV part, because there is a lane for you. Before you do anything, understand that first.
Fantastic advice. No, every niche is bigger than you, right? We think we have to
Hmm.
cater to everybody, and then you can't cater to anybody.
Yeah,
Um, you're not going to be good at all things. You're going
no.
to need to find those relationships, those partnerships with the people that are in the adjacent lanes to you. Let
Hmm.
them be the zone of brilliance over there. You just do your bit. And that just comes with maturity in business. So it's fantastic advice that anybody at any stage in entrepreneurship needs to hear frequently, because we do get that fear of saying no sometimes when a client asks me, "Can you help me with this?" And then that little part of your head goes, "Well, I should probably." No, I can't. But Staceyann can, or so and so can.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
fantastic advice. Um, how can strategic events drive real business ROI?
I think it starts with understanding how to plan, right? I think a lot of times people will say, I do the same event every year. This is my agenda. These are people that speak. I know I need 200 chairs in this room. That's where you lose. The strategic event starts with understanding stakeholder alignment, understanding who are you planning for, right? So I will sit down, and this is a workshop that I like to do. It could take 3 days, it could take a week, it could take an extensive 2 days, however long it takes, where you say, okay, who are you planning for? Who's in the room? Understanding what their goals are and empathy mapping it to say, like, where are they 6 months before? What are they thinking, seeing, doing, experiencing? Where do you want them to be 6 months after your event, right? Because it's not just about what happens, the event itself is the tiniest piece of it, right? It's what happens pre and post as you continue to tell that message, right? So when you're planning strategically, you're going to understand that the director of sales isn't really he doesn't really care as much as the end user about how to use the product, right? He might care about the efficiency that it brings to his team, maybe being able to work with a lower headcount that he has now post layoff, or the ease of use and using it and the cost of using it, versus the end user who needs to know how to get into that platform and use it, right? So understanding that and the time that it takes for them to be out of office, the family commitments, the work commitments. When you're understanding that, then you can get into the agenda planning, get into the event planning in a way that it's going to resonate with the person sitting in that seat. So the strategic plan of it will help you understand your ROI, whether it is dollars, customer advocates, word of mouth, a product launch, and you could plan accordingly. So
Okay. And then what would you say is the secret to planning events that align with the company goals?
making sure that you have the right people in the room. So many times, and everybody knows marketing hates sales, sales hates marketing. Marketing never brought anybody else in the room, sales didn't speak to marketing. Making sure that you have the right people in the room in the very first meeting, so that it's not like you're trying to fix an event after it's been planned, or oh my gosh, we're 2 days before and I didn't realize we had a product launch and nobody's actually speaking on it. So starting at the very beginning to say, okay, we need somebody from finance and from maybe HR, from marketing, and understand that every team will have a play in that event. And at the end of the day, when you are trying to shore up your finances, nobody could say that you spent money unnecessarily, because everybody had a play in it.
Absolutely. How can businesses turn live experiences into long-term customer engagement?
Understanding that it doesn't end at the event. A lot of times businesses will say, oh, the event's done, and they're not communicating afterwards, or they send out surveys and they're not reading the surveys to see how they need to improve upon it, right? So when I go into planning an event, I also talk about post event. What does the communication look like post event? How are we building upon those brand advocates, those customer advocates that you have? Are we continuing this messaging that we had at the event post event, so it's tying into the business overall strategy. It's not just like this disconnected event from the company. It actually ties into everything that's being said. So everything from, post event wrap ups, the information that you're sharing. Maybe it's recorded sessions. Maybe it is a mini networking event that happens afterwards that feeds upon what you just built. It's all part of the planning process. It's not something that's an afterthought. You're thinking about that event and you're tracking that during the planning of the event.
Okay. And then why you? What sets you apart from everybody else out there doing something similar?
I think it's everything that I just said. It's ROI based, right? So when you work with me, it's not just logistics. And I say this hoping not to be disrespectful to other planners, but you might hire someone and you say, listen, I know what I'm doing here. I just need you to sign this hotel contract, make sure we have the right tables and chairs in the room, and that's it. That's a different planner, right? When you come to me, you're looking for that strategy and that strategic alignment. You're looking for ROI on the money that's being spent. And that's what I'm bringing to the table versus someone else, right? We're going to sit and talk about who's sitting in the room. We're going to open up your CRM and see what the pipeline is and see how much, what the open deals are. Where are they in the funnel? So that we're planning an event that actually meets the actual goals.
Okay. I know there's so much we can go into here because there's, like you said, all the different areas, how deep you can go. But just in general, is there anything that I missed or I failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Um, I would actually implore everyone to really think about events as more than just logistics. And for event planners out there, I think something that we often say, especially when sitting in a corporate seat, is that I am not marketing. And I'm here to tell you that events are marketing. So get to know your pipeline, get to understand the funnel and where people are, and start asking how much money is in the room, right? Because it will make the biggest difference in how you plan events. And hopefully when or if the time comes that they are going through layoffs or tightening up teams, you're not the first person being looked at. We are marketing, and once we start looking at it that way, we can really start bringing in money in what we're doing.
Okay, awesome. For the people that are hearing this and really want to reach out because they have questions that I'm not going to ask, how can they find you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I think the best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I post a lot there. That's the first place. My website, theeventnarrative.com, has information on the events that I've done. But if you want to reach out to me, especially if you're a student or you're new to the industry, I'm more than happy to offer guidance there. But LinkedIn is the first stop for me.
Perfect. I'm going to put all that in the show notes so it's super easy to find. If somebody's considering getting a hold of Staceyann, do it. Do yourself a favor. She's an absolute pleasure to have a conversation with. Don't be shy. She's the exact same in a one-to-one as she is here. Do yourself a favor. Have that call. Make that connection. You'll be better off for having it. So anybody else out there that would like to get a hold of me, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with our growing community of awesome people like Staceyann. If you were somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you just giving us a high level about what you're doing, because you're doing cool things. Before meeting you, I didn't know this stuff. I just assumed it kind of happened magically. Like I probably should have known.
It's a beast.
But I didn't.
You shouldn't have known. It's all good.
So, but no, I really appreciate it. Let's all
Thank
go have
you.
an awesome day and grow our circles. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.